Let's get straight into a look at this markets picture because, as I said earlier, we've got pretty much the EU summit that's in focus right now, and that after we had the cancellation of the finance ministers meeting causing some jitter in the markets place.
Yeah, well, I think anyone that thought that they were going to wave a magic wand across in Europe and the Germans and the French were all going to hug and everything was going to be wonderful was probably kidding themselves. So this is not that unexpected. I think at the end of the day, you're going to see a little bit of news coming out tonight, probably a bit more rhetoric. You know, everyone's saying that they're not going to be letting Greece fail, but we're not going to see some real concrete plans. So I would think that this thing's going to play out for a little while to come, and that's why we're going to be seeing this ongoing cautiousness in the market.
Of course, when it comes to the local market, there seems to be an overall bullish tone that's about, so much so that we've seen South Africa's top 40 index of blue chips returning to positive territory now for 2011. Brett, what are you making of the kind of resilience we're seeing on the local bourse?
Well, I think you have to take the rand into account. I mean, the rand's weakened quite significantly over the interim, and with so many rand hedge stocks, big mining companies in our top 40, obviously that's provided a little bit of buoyancy for the market. Nice to see the market has moved back over its 200-day moving average, and I think that's created some of the bullish sentiment. So the market's up 10% on the month, really taking its cue from the hope that the European leaders are going to come out with something a little bit more concrete. We are into bullish territory now, but I don't see too much more legs on it in the very short term unless we see something more concrete coming outside. I mean, a 10% rally, one should be looking for a bit of consolidation from these levels, I would think.
Of course, when it comes to local news flow, that has had some impact, very little though on markets activity, given all that's playing out in the global context, has been that medium-term budget policy statement by the finance minister yesterday. Lots made regarding inward listing specifically, and it has very interesting implications because we will here see a reweighting then of the local bourse, Brett.
Yeah, it will be very, very interesting. You know, I don't know all the details yet, and we'll have to see exactly how it plays out. But you know, you take a stock like BTI, it could be a big part of the top 40 index if it's included. So it could have a real impact on the way that the top 40 index is constituted going forward.
In terms of, you know, the kind of volume activity you're expecting to see the spark, I mean, what are you anticipating there? Because many saying that now with that restriction lifted, we'll see much higher volume pass through the markets.
Potentially, yes, and then also we'll see for stocks like BTI specifically. I mean, if a lot of the tracker funds, which track the top 40, need to start weighting up on the stock, you could see quite a lot of interest in the stock, and I see it up quite nicely today. Probably also on the back of a weaker rand though as well.
Let's get straight into some of the movers halfway through today's trading session on the top 40 index. We've had those gold miners really standing out yet again on the back of the weaker rand on the one hand, as you've highlighted, but also that gold price that's managing to push higher. And it seems it's that safe haven appeal that seems to have come back into play.
Yes, so gold been on the back foot a little bit recently, but certainly if we see the European leaders not really getting to some consensus, and you could see some nervousness creeping into the market, a couple of players would be positioning ahead of that. So you've seen the gold stocks come up on the back of, you know, I think the rand off 1% and then the gold price up $10, and clearly that's going to play through to their numbers.
Well, what's very interesting is that we've got Lonmin amongst those top, top performers on the top 40 today as well. It's the biggest loser year to date, having lost 32.8%, but this week making nice upward stride. What are you making of the kind of movement we've seen there? Because obviously the platinum miners index has shed over 25% this year on the back of concerns about global economic demand waning.
Yeah, I would really ascribe it to, as you said, the stock's been on the back foot for quite a long time now. Now with some renewed weakness in the rand and then an uptick in the platinum price, obviously some bargain hunters coming in and saying, well, let's position ourselves a little bit in some of the platinum players.
Gold versus platinum miners at this stage. Brett, how would you be hedging your bets?
Yeah, look, I prefer the platinum stocks to the gold stocks. I think the gold stocks riding on a lot of sentiment. The gold stocks are always the perennial challenge of turning a higher bullion price into higher earnings. So on a relative play basis, I'd favour an Amplats and an Implats over an Anglo Gold and a Goldfield going forward.
Of course, we've seen that resources sector leading the upside on the markets today. When it comes to a sector that's still dipping in negative territory, it's the banking index. And looking at the bottom performers, we've got Nedbank there down 0.6%. First Rand trading a touch lower as well, along with Standard Bank. What are you making of that kind of movement, and why it's struggling to make itself a position or get itself a position in positive territory today?
Yeah, I think it's just a case of what's driving the market today would be the resources. You know, the banking stocks, you know, down not even 1%, not even a tenth of 1%. So I just think it's a case of what's moving the market today is a bit of rand weakness, a bit of interest in some of the resources, and then the rest of the market really treading water ahead of what's going to happen in Europe.
Well, we've got the resources sector in vogue. Sasol trading 0.75% lower today. We've seen a slight pullback in that oil price, but not too dramatic. What's your view on Sasol and where we're trading right now, sitting at around about 369 Rand?
Yeah, Sasol's had a really nice bounce. I mean, that stock was down at 300 Rand not too long ago, and it's paid a 9 Rand dividend in the interim. So, you know, it's run quite nicely now. I'd be a long-term holder of Sasol, but I think you've seen most of the short-term gains in the stock. So, barring the Rand really kicking out quite strongly at the moment, I'd see it as fairly valued in the short term.
Well, there we have it. Sasol at 367 Rand 12 cent. Brett, let's leave it there. Thanks so much for your time this afternoon. Brett Duncan is equity derivatives trader over at Standard Bank, and of course joined us live from the JSE this afternoon with your midday market update.